the world they inhabit.
Right.
A great example, David Pakman. He had a video. He's got so many. It's remarkable. And I think this is why Democrats are in complete and utter disarray right now. It said, Donald Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map. This literally never happened. Donald Trump said in the midterms, you're going to be surprised. In fact, these blue states might get totally disappeared from the map. We know what he was saying. He was saying that they're going to turn red.
Right.
There will be no more blue states because they will be red. And David Pakman titles it, Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map.
In this video, Tim Pool and the gang over at Timcast IRL discuss left-wing commentators. Tim Pool goes through the greatest hits in this one. Sam Seder, David Pakman, and even that little rascal, Luke Beasley. With that, let's watch Tim Pool and his crew roast our favorite liberal pundits.
General structure of American population.
30% of America's. Yeah.
No, but even no, because if you go look at the Sam Seder ones, all of them are Sam Seder crushed them. Like he has a coherent worldview and they don't. So if you look at these LGBTQ ones where they do have a chance to open their mouth and a few words utter out of their mouth, you get to see their true colors.
You know, the thing about Sam is that he's got like a high school equivalent education. And I'm not saying that to drag him.
At best.
Again, I'll stress this to all his fans. I am not saying this to be like, oh yeah, well, he's dumb. I'm saying when I tried debating him, it was like 7 years ago. This is like the famous moment where I mentioned that his view on universal health care was basically an argument between deontological moral ethics and utilitarianism. And he says, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, oh. At that point, I should have said, okay, Sam, read some philosophy books to better understand moral ethics and philosophy, and then maybe we can try and understand the world together. But I should probably just say, if you don't know what these things are, I don't know how we have a conversation. Instead, I made the mistake of trying to dumb it down so that someone of his limited knowledge, again, not meant to be an insult, I'm saying he literally didn't know what deontology is. If I try to dumb it down so he can comprehend that, he started mocking it and making jokes about it. It's like, okay, so he literally can't comprehend, nor can he hold a serious conversation. And then I think you had the famous moment you asked him about consequentialism.
Yeah, utilitarianism. Because what I established at the beginning was like, well, you gotta hear, when you hear this guy's show, all he does is just talk a bunch of smack. And he says, Trump is evil, conservatives are evil, religion is evil. But I asked him, on what basis? Is it a preference? He said, yes, it's a preference. He even admitted on his show after, it's all a preference. So if it's all a preference, if we take trans rights away, women's rights away, you have no problem with that. So anything he said.
Oh, yeah. This is the guy that interviewed Sam Seder in that now infamous, disastrous debate for him on that Surrounded episode of Jubilee. His name is Eleazar Perez. He did a great job. I hear what Tim's saying, though, and I can totally see Sam Seder's audience saying, what are you saying, he's dumb? Oh, you have to have a college education? Even though Tim has made it very clear on what he's trying to explain, I can still see them getting upset about that. But that's just how they are. So yeah, I remember when Tim brought up utilitarianism, Sam said, I don't know what that is. And not in a combative way, but Tim tried to use an analogy. He used an analogy of like superheroes like Captain America or Thanos. It was a really good analogy. But if what Tim's saying here is true, then he's just started making fun of the analogy. It's like, it's so indicative of the lack of self-awareness that all of these left-wing pundits have. You're laughing at him about his analogy, which you probably don't even know if it's correct or not, because you acknowledge you don't even know what the words he's using mean. Do you think you're the one that should be laughing? Tim was gracious enough in a debate style conversation to try to help you understand it. And then Eleazar said on his show, all he does is talk smack. That's true. It makes a great point, because I always say all he and Emma Vigeland do is complain and whine and take the most far left ridiculous positions you've ever heard and play clips of other people and make fun of them. Nothing substantive, even if they're on another show, nothing substantive ever comes out of the conversation. I don't think either one of them, and this is common again of the majority of left-wing commentators that have some kind of platform. They always just want to push an agenda. There's no real attempt to find common ground or anything like that, or come out of the conversation understanding the other person better than you did when you walked into the conversation. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Said after that was a self-contradiction. It was a self-refutation. So if you say it's all a preference and then you put into the purview of morality, that's a self-refutation.
Right.
So he doesn't know what so if you have...
He could not comprehend what you just said to me right now.
Right. So the reason why this is important is if you have no system, if you say, oh, I'm just going to go with the flow, it's all arbitrary. It's all willing to change overnight. So if he says raping is wrong right now, tomorrow he could believe in rape.
Well, yeah. This is and this is a prominent liberal podcaster with millions of subscribers, and this is the world they inhabit.
Right.
A great example, David Pakman. He had a video. He's got so many. It's remarkable, and I think this is why Democrats are in complete and utter disarray right now. It said Donald Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map. This literally never happened. Donald Trump said in the midterms, you're going to be surprised. In fact, these blue states might get totally disappeared from the map. We know what he was saying. He was saying that they're going to turn red.
Right.
There will be no more blue states because they will be red. And David Pakman titles it, Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map. And he gets 500,000 views from it. And these low IQ individuals, limited comprehension, are going, oh, whoa, and they watch it. I imagine a good portion is hate watching, though, but
Sure. Yep. Is that why guys like Luke Beasley, like he's a pundit, he does a show, like he's supposed to be all knowledgeable and whatnot, and Enrique is just a dude who got sentenced sometimes and was living the life. Is that why he won't talk to Enrique?
Luke Beasley will not debate Enrique Tarrio because Luke Beasley doesn't know anything about January 6th. And there's that extremely viral clip where I was yelling at him saying, you want to put people in prison without, and everything. And part of what I was saying, I misspoke on one. I said a guy without charge or trial. I meant
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
without trial or bail. Some people have contested whether it's his administrative actions that are doing that. But so I was not even perfect in that regard. But he doesn't know anything at all. And we recently had on Culture War, we had Prime, who was debating Gibbs, and we were discussing Doge. Now this dude, Prime, he's a Twitch streamer. Fantastic. Liberal guy, we argued. I thought he was wrong. He pushed back. He argued why he thought he was right. And I said, okay, so now we're arguing about our interpretations of the Constitution, and this is an actual legal debate that neither of us are qualified to actually answer. We just have preference, worldview on how the courts should operate based on these provisions. I can respect his arguments. With all due respect to Luke Beasley, he would say things like, they should go to jail, and I'd go, why? And he goes, I don't know, you tell me. I'd be like, what?
And he squint his eyes then.
And, yeah.
He always squinted his eyes.
And then whenever I cited examples of things to prove a point, he would say, stop giving me anecdotes. And it's like, I am literally citing instances in which a thing occurred. So all he really had was the talking points.
The rhetoric.
But that's it.
Yeah.
They have emotions. So what is your goal in debating a liberal, right? I mean, it's rhetorical.
Tim just summed up the left wing right there, and especially these ridiculous people that speak for them online. All they have is talking points, typically from the mainstream media, and they're emotional. That's it. Yeah, I've covered a lot of David Pakman clips, and I've never gotten to mention them, but he does title his videos crazy, and I understand why, to get clicks and stuff. But framing Donald Trump after he essentially said my presidency is going to be so good there won't be any more blue states, to then going with the premise that Donald Trump's threatening everyone to wipe blue states off the map, and Tim called his audience low IQ. I do not know who watches and listens to these people. And one of them said, it's probably mostly hate watching. But as much as I wish that was the case, unfortunately, I don't think it is, because I look in those comment sections and they're all just cheering David on, no matter how crazy his point is. They love him. So there's a market for it. But I still don't understand what the demographics are. Are they young people? They have to be, right? Because older people hopefully would be a little bit wiser than to listen to someone like David Pakman or Sam Seder. And then I'm sure Luke Beasley is primarily young people, so that tracks. And as far as Luke Beasley, that viral clip where Tim's chewing him out because he's making wild claims, that's all the evidence you need to know that he doesn't know anything about January 6th except talking points. And he would never, ever debate Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys, because from that clip alone, it's evident that he knows absolutely nothing about January 6th except some bullet points that he was either given or wrote down just by watching CNN and MSNBC. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Rhetorically. Are you trying to convince them? Are you trying to convince people who are watching? Okay. If you're trying to convince people who are smart, very little need be done. Do your best. Do a show like this. Smart people will say, sure. I respect that you're treating me with intelligence. If you're trying to convince the typical liberal, then what you need to do is make fun of them. because their reactions are entirely emotional and social orthodoxy based. So if you want to win a debate with Sam Seder, you have to insult him. No matter what he says, you have to act like it's the stupidest thing anyone's ever said. That's how they debate.
That's crazy.
So if Sam says something like universal health care is a right, you'll be like, all right. Dude, you don't even know what rights are, dude. Oh, I can't believe you should be so stupid. Do you have any idea how stupid you look? And then what's going to happen is all the clips are going to go around and they're going to be like, oh, that was so dumb. I can't. But you make them look dumb and trigger their emotions. People on the right are going to be like, whatever. But that's the game.
Dude, that's such a good description of debating with someone on the right or the left. The right just gets so much less emotional. Like if I'm wrong about something, I don't dig my heels in. I acknowledge I got that wrong. Try not to let it happen again. But when liberals, especially progressive commentators, debate, let's use Sam Seder as an example, they have the inability to ever acknowledge that they're wrong or that one of their beliefs could be even tweaked a little bit and find a little more common ground. As far as Tim saying you can't talk rationally with someone like Sam Seder, you've got to insult him. It kind of sucks because that's not how you want a debate to go. But I understand why Tim's saying it. I understand why people don't like debating Sam Seder. I'm sure he'll chalk it up to people being scared, but that's all it is. He's trying to get a moment where he can make the other person look dumb. And all he does with Emma Vigeland on his show, like I said, is play clips of conservative commentators, laugh at them, make jokes, and say how dumb they are. So that's the language he speaks, and that's the only way apparently to debate him. That doesn't sound very fun to me. But we want to hear from you. What do you think of all these left-wing, quote-unquote, pundits? Sam Seder, David Pakman, Luke Beasley. Are any of them good debaters? Am I getting it wrong? Do they have some good points, and are their audiences really smart and I'm just missing it and I'm the dumb one? Well, those aren't mutually exclusive. I can certainly be the dumb one and probably am. But am I crazy for suggesting that these audiences are low IQ and I don't understand where they come from? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.